Here's John 11 verses 51 to 57 from the New International Version, NIV. 51 He did not say this on his own, but as high priest that year he prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation. 52 And not only for that nation but also for the scattered children of God, to bring them together and make them one. 53 So from that day on they plotted to take his life. 54 Therefore Jesus no longer moved about publicly among the people of Judea. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the wilderness, to a village called Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. 55 When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, many went up from the country to Jerusalem for their ceremonial cleansing before the Passover. 56 They kept looking for Jesus, and as they stood in the temple courts they asked one another, "What do you think? Isn't he coming to the festival at all?" 57 But the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that anyone who found out where Jesus was should report it so that they might arrest him. Exposition. This passage comes immediately after the resurrection of Lazarus, an event that caused a significant stir and prompted many to believe in Jesus. This surge in popularity, combined with his existing reputation, was a cause of concern for the religious leaders of the day, particularly the Sanhedrin. Verse 51, Caiaphas, the high priest, unwittingly prophesies about Jesus' impending crucifixion. He had earlier suggested that it was better for one man, Jesus, to die for the people than for the whole nation to perish, John 11 verse 50. John interprets this statement as prophetic. Even though Caiaphas intended it as a pragmatic suggestion for dealing with a political problem, the threat of Roman intervention if Jesus' movement grew, God used his words to declare the true purpose of Jesus' death, a substitutionary sacrifice for the sins of the people. Verse 52, John expands upon this prophecy, clarifying that Jesus' sacrifice was not just for the Jewish nation, but for all scattered children of God. This looks forward to the inclusion of the Gentiles in God's salvation plan, as was consistently affirmed in the New Testament. Verse 53, the religious leaders' reaction to Jesus' miracles, including the resurrection of Lazarus, is not one of faith but of fear. Their focus becomes plotting to kill him to maintain their positions of power and to avoid unwanted attention from the Romans. Verse 54, because of the active threat on his life, Jesus withdrew from public view. The village of Ephraim served as a temporary place of retreat. This retreat wasn't due to fear, but strategic timing, as Jesus knew when his appointed time would come. Verses 55 to 56, the Passover is nearing, a significant Jewish festival. Many were in Jerusalem to purify themselves according to the law before the festival. There's an air of expectation among the crowd, as they wonder if Jesus, who has been the center of much discussion and controversy, would appear. Verse 57, the religious leaders, meanwhile, continued to be proactive. They issued orders to report Jesus' whereabouts. Their intention was clear, they wanted to arrest and eliminate him. In this passage, the tensions between Jesus and the religious establishment are palpable. It provides a glimpse into the various forces and emotions at play during the last days of Jesus' earthly ministry. The themes of sacrifice, salvation, and the challenge of genuine faith in the face of societal pressures are all present.